Get the shirt out. What is up, everybody? We are back with another episode of the Playmaker podcast. I believe this will be like episode 17. As always, I got some of my crew with me. We are still missing Mr. Balls, but I got Brady. Brady, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. Yeah, doing good. It's a crazy week. A lot of stuff happening on, and it feels like a lot of the sports have got some news. So it'll be a fun podcast to talk about a little bit of everything.
Absolutely. Nate, last but not least, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, feeling good. And we got Brady said, we got a lot of sports going on. March Madness, got the Final Four coming up. We got down the stretch for basketball. We got baseball coming up around the corner, regular season. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about. So definitely excited for sure.
All right. I'm going to get this shared out real quick. But then, yeah, as always, guys, typically at the start of the show, we usually do our comment giveaway where, again, if you leave a comment, we go back and we read those comments, topics, questions. Usually we do a $30 PayPal, either straight PayPal giveaway or a auction credit. What I'm going to do, since we only had like 4 comments in there, the 4 people that were on there right when we went live, they're all going to get $10 deafness credit because there was only 4 comments on the last episode. Guys, I encourage you guys, when you're watching this, whether you watch it live, whether you watch it later, whenever you watch it, anything you have a question on, whether it's hobby related, sports related, DFS related, anything that revolves around what we do and what this podcast is about, please post a comment. But it's kind of silly to do that when there's only like literally 4 comments. But I'm not going to, I guess, take away or discipline from those who did. So you 4, and I know which 4 they were. I saw it right before we went live. You guys will get a little $10 def credit. So just keep that in mind. Next week, if we can get, we got to have at least like 10 comments, guys. Like there's got to be at least a certain number here we hit. We went from like 20, 22, 24. And I know some people drop multiple comments and topics, and that's fine. We love that, right? But we have to have a little bit more. We got to get a little bit more out of it. And that's what we're looking for to really help drive this. So let's just jump into it. I haven't gotten the thumbnail up yet because been kind of occupied here trying to get everything else shared out and set up. But I want to touch on, and actually I want to start with Nate first because that's how I put him in the order on the thumbnail. Nate, it was me, Nate, and Brady, and I'm actually going to go last. So we're going to go Nate. You talk about the guy you want on the thumbnail that you put in the DM. Kind of give us a briefing on exactly why he is your playmaker this week. And then we'll go to Brady. So it's all yours.
So my playmaker of this week was Nick Castellanos. Phillies actually signed some people this all season. The Phillies actually went over the tax this all season. That's kind of fun because I'm pretty sure last podcast I told Dev to put a clown face over our logo because we're notorious for only signing only one big free agent and then that's it. But we signed 2 big free agents, and I'm so glad that we actually spent some money, went over the tax, and actually Philly's looking pretty good so far in the spring training. So that's my playmaker for the week.
I love it, man. Brady, how about you, bud?
Yeah, so my playmaker of the week is Captain America himself, Mr. Christian Pulisic. With a hat trick versus Panama last night.
Yep.
The U.S. needed 3 points last night, which was huge for them in their qualification for the World Cup this November. So he scored twice via penalty and then finished his 3rd goal off in the 65th minute for a hat trick, and the U.S. ended up defeating Panama 5-1. So their last qualification game is on Wednesday. And they qualify for the World Cup as long as they don't lose 6-0 or at least by 6 goals. So looking good, put themselves in a good situation, and I'm excited, especially after the complete failure that was 2018, them not qualifying for Russia. The team is completely different. A lot of young guys developing now, and Christian Pulisic's leading the way as the one holdover from that team. So it's awesome to see them grow.
And I'm not I'm not a huge soccer guy. In fact, since I started breaking at Triple Diamond, I've ripped more soccer in the last probably month or couple months than I've ever ripped in my lifetime. And I'm still trying to engage on with some of these players. But man, it's that hat trick was absolutely crazy. When you told me about it, I hadn't even seen it yet because I've been so busy. It's been hard to catch up on news and everything else and what's going on in the sports world, just because my schedule's just been balls to the wall. But I did take the time after you talked about it and after you put it in our DM about our Playmaker DM about who your Playmaker was. And I was like, wow, like insane. If you guys have not seen it, even if you're not a soccer fan, I would definitely advise pulling up the video and checking it out because it's absolutely insane. Like insane what he did.
Yeah,
so,
and it's rising to the occasion, right? I mean, that's one of the things. This was the biggest game they've played in their entire qualifying window. And he's the star of the team. And, he's the one guy that had to show up, and he did it.
Yep.
So nothing more you can ask for.
What's up, man? We got a special guest in the house, Mr. You know him, maybe Balls to the Walls, Balsley. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Fellas? I'm doing pretty good. Am I frozen?
No, you're good. You're good.
You guys are just frozen on my screen. Nate's taking the longest drink I've ever seen. So
you're not frozen over here, my man. We're
no, I'm doing good. If we're in the middle of Playmakers, I'm gonna take Curtis Blades, man.
Go ahead, talk about it, and then I'll go last like I was going to anyway, because I was going to be the last one.
So UFC this weekend. I know March Madness has been popping off for everybody, but pretty big UFC for me. I like following Elevation Fight Team out of Colorado. I got a buddy, Austin Hubbard, that fights with them. So you had a card with Neil Magny and Curtis Blades, and Curtis Blades is kind of one of those guys right now where he's in the top of the division, but he's not able to break that, top 3, top 4 kind of spot for a shot at the title. And it's always been told that, he's a one-trick pony. He's just a wrestler. He's not, he's got an all right stand-up game. And he came out and didn't even try and shoot once. Just stood up, early second round, knocked Dukakis out, and man, that was it. He showed his power, called out Stipe for an interim title shot if they want to throw it at it.
That's big.
Called out Cyril Gahn, so I think that was a huge win for him. He really needed to, he needed to have that kind of statement win in the division right now. Otherwise, he was going to be that guy that was kind of left behind, especially with, Tui. Everybody loves him. Tui Vasan, I think's his name.
The Shuey.
Yeah. With him blowing up, Blades needed to step up, and he stepped up to the challenge and won in a way that a lot of people didn't expect.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it, man. That's a great way to just kind of jump on in after we start and be like, boom, booyah, here's my Playmaker, baby. What you got? So my Playmaker is actually going to be one that didn't do any actual playing in any form of any organization, but he's been making a big wave in the hobby. And it started about a week ago or so. And I think Mr. Drizzy Drake's going to be my Playmaker this week. And I'm going to say why, because this is also a hobby show, right? This is a hobby podcast. It's a sports podcast. He's very in tune. He's very into sports. He's really big into basketball. He plays basketball about every day. He's always at the Toronto Raptors games. He's always, linking up with some of the big superstars. But he is, I'm going to tell you guys this. We always see this. We see a big name come in or pop in the hobby, and you start seeing like a different excitement. You start seeing it draw a lot more people in. And I don't know if any of you guys watched last night's live deal with Mr. Ken Golden from Golden Auctions, but him and Drake went on Ken Golden's Instagram. They did it live, and they ripped a 1986 Fleer unopened BBCE authenticated box, which everybody was doing when they posted a photo it was going, oh, the G.I. Joe cards that are going to be the packs, because you know how BBC with the whole Pokemon Logan thing and all that, it was authenticated and wasn't real. Well, they started off the night with that, and they pulled 6 total Jordan rookies. They pulled 3 of the regular Jordan rookies, and then they pulled 3 of the sticker rookies. And then after that, they ripped about 20 more cases of flawless basketball looking for the logo mans. Drake's on a mission to specifically find the triple logo man with what is it, LeBron and Jordan and someone else, I think. There's like one out there that's never been hit. It's a certain iconic one that nobody claims. It hasn't been hit yet. It hasn't been found. So, but the reason why I bring this up, it's not as much that, but it's if you were paying attention, if you were watching the stream, if you were reading and checking out some of the comments and seeing the type of people that were actually in there, kind of drawing some excitement with this whole ordeal. And Drake was actually almost shocked sometimes when someone would say a name and he'd be like, no, he's not really in here watching me open cards right now, is he? But it was real. I mean, you had Evan Longoria was in there. Rip Hamilton was in there. Logan obviously popped in. They actually brought him on for a minute, and he had to throw his little thing, because he got scammed. Well, he didn't get scammed. It was an authenticated box that ended up being bogus. But just, I don't know, man. It's drawing something different. And then he was telling Ken, man, we gotta do this weekly or something. This has got to be something we got to do weekly, rip cases of flawless and whatever. But actually see him, it was the first time he actually even broke cards like himself. He's got into breaks a week ago, but he wasn't ripping them. He was just they would link him in with different breakers and buy flawless cases, etc., trying to look for logo mans. And they did pull he pulled a which logo man was it that they pulled last night? Who the hell was it? I don't remember who it was now, because dude, it went long. It was a 4. They started 10 or 11 o'clock. I was planning to go to bed at 10:30. And then I saw this post about they're gonna be ripping. They had a photo of all the boxes with him and Ken. And it was actually pretty funny because somebody had asked Drake, what kind of watch are you wearing right now? And him and Ken both had watches on, both had Rolexes. They're like, let's see the rollies. Who's got the better rollie on? And you would have thought Drake would have outdone him. Drake's like, no, this isn't the day to be trying to have a watch thing, because I already know what Ken's got on right now. I already know what he's wearing. Ken had some Rolex from when the Yankees won the World Series back in, I don't know, after so many championships, they could either get a ring or a Rolex watch. And two of the guys decided to get a Rolex instead, and he's got one of the actual Rolexes. It's just insane. So Jake's flipping out about all that. But anyway, I don't want to win it too long. But guys, some people don't like it. Some people you bring us, the whole Gary Vee thing. Some people don't. Some people hate it. Some people like it. Whatever. But at the end of the day, guys, it's good for the hobby, man. And it's cool to see. It's cool to get some excitement and see some other people that maybe we're never really into cards. Dude, good old Rip Hamilton, man. He was just chatting along, excited, asking questions, about cards and stuff, and Ken would be trying to look at the chats and read them and whatever. So just kind of a cool deal. So I'm going to run with Drake, and I'm going to leave it at that. And we're going to move on here. So let's dive in. I guess we could probably let's start with football. What's the what's the big moves, the big pickups, the big trades that have happened here recently in the last week, 2 weeks max?
Was Deshaun to Cleveland since our last show, or was that?
No,
we didn't do it. Well, was he? We didn't do a show for a couple weeks. Well, the last show we did was Brady was basically just announced he was coming back a couple days before that, 2 days. So I don't think it was. No, I don't. I think it was still, where is he going? Because that was one of the questions. Where do we think he's going to land?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the big one. Obviously, they gave up a lot of draft capital. There's still a determination on if he's going to be suspended from the allegations. Obviously, there's no criminal lawsuit, but that doesn't mean the NFL is not going to suspend him. So then there's the whole drama with Baker. Are they going to try to keep him to start half the year? Does he even want to play? I know he demanded a trade. So there's a lot of pieces still to move. You got Jimmy Garoppolo still out there in San Francisco that needs a team. You got Baker that still needs a team. You got all these teams that are going to be trying to move around in the quarterback market in the NFL draft. So, free agency, obviously, the first part of free agency is done, but there's still a lot of teams that are still going to be making a lot of moves in the next month or so.
And here's the big one that we didn't touch on that happened more recent. The whole Tyreek Hill.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to hear some takes. I want to get some takes from you guys on where you feel. Where does that put Kansas City, right? Obviously, it's a blow to them. It's a hit to them. It's obvious, right? Because in my opinion, we're not going to see another Tyreek style Hill with that type of athleticism, that speed, a game changer that can do it like that. Probably another 10 years, 20 years. And I know a lot of people say, hey, the draft's got receiver heavy, it's this and that. And I get it. And a lot of guys look great on paper and look great in combines and everything else. But when they get here, can they really do it? Do they really have the pop? Do they really have that next level, that it factor to really make a difference and maybe get somebody into a contending situation to win a championship? So where does it leave Kansas City? And two, and I want to hear from each one of you guys. If you don't have much to add when you get there, that's fine. The second part of this question is going to be, where does that put Miami? So who wants to start?
I'll go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll go ahead if that's cool, Nate.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Did you guys touch on, I might not have been here for it, Devontae? Because I think Devontae Adams plays a role in this too. Then. Oh
yeah. We're gonna talk. We'll talk about that as well. But let's just start with Tyreek Hill.
I know what I'm saying though is the value that these wide receivers got, these top end receivers, is kind of crazy. I think a little bit. Are you gonna get that production out of an MVS, a Juju? The few other receivers that they've added, not a chance. This is part of the Patrick Mahomes contract that Kansas City went all in on. It's part of the repercussions to that. But I think really they said what forced the hand was they almost had a deal with Tyreek Hill, and then the Devontae trade happened, and he got all that guaranteed money, and Tyreek Hill said, you're going to pay me like that. And that's when they made the decision, which any team in the NFL is going to pick Patrick Mahomes over Tyreek Hill.
Oh, yeah.
So, Andy Reid gets a lot of credit for being able to get the most out of his players.
He's a great
coach.
They
maybe not have as many of those, big play, down the field, explosive touchdowns? Probably not. But Kansas City is going to find a way to transform that offense where I could see them maybe trying to ball control a little bit more. Instead of being that team that's always reliant on that quick score, they're going to become a team now that, hey, if Patrick Mahomes has the ball in his hand a majority of the time too, we're going to win because he's not, if he doesn't make those mistakes.
Right.
So I could see it kind of transforming their offense a little bit to where maybe they go more run heavy, try and control the ball a little bit more instead of those high explosive plays because you have a guy that has that speed. For Miami, man, that's an awesome chess piece. You're talking Devontae Parker's wide receiver 3 now for them. And if he stays, he's been rumored to be a trade candidate, but I think that really comes down to, Tua. Tua is going to have to be the guy, but that offense right now, if Mike McDaniel can do, what they're saying he's capable of doing, being maybe next in the line of McVay type, man, that McVay Shanahan kind of feel to him, that offense looks scary,
Mm-hmm.
Can they put it together? That's to be seen. Right. But Miami I think they're even odds now with the Patriots in the division. It'd be interesting because Buffalo I still think is the cream of that crop in that division, but this puts Miami, their expectation has to be playoffs. It has to be playoffs.
All right, Nate, we'll let Brady wrap it up. We'll go Nate and then Brady.
All right. Shoot, man. Pretty much with the Tyreek Hill move, it actually kind of puts a lot of pressure on Miko Harmon, actually, because Miko Harmon actually kind of has to fit that Tyreek Hill mold now. He has to be that big play guy because he has speed. He could be that threat, but now he has to actually be like that person. Obviously, MVS, he's a deep threat. He's fast, but honestly, like it's gonna be hard to replace or even measure up to a Tyreek Hill brought to the Chiefs offense. But Miko Harmon got to step up. Kelsey's gonna be a bigger target, so he's probably gonna get doubled a lot. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to see. I do agree with Balls that like they're gonna be instead of being like maybe a 2 or 3 play touchdown drive, they might even do more 8, 9, 10, 11 play drives. So that's interesting to see like if Mahomes has enough patience to actually like had that drives that like force you down the field. And then with the Dolphins, shoot, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in the same offense, like all that speed, that's insane. And like I said, like it depends on Tua just getting the ball. Like obviously, like the slant route could be there, the drag routes will be there, but like can Tua gets like those 40, 50-yard bombs? That's pretty much be the main thing.
Can he hit him on the fly? Exactly.
Yep. So but you got Waddle, you got Hill, you got Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki. So I'm like, man, that offense is gonna be explosive. So AFC East is gonna be pretty wild. I think this year, the AFC West is gonna be very interesting this year. So it's gonna be fun to see. It's gonna be fun to see.
All right, Brady, take us home on these 2 questions.
Well, I think I kind of called this about middle of last year when we were talking about kind of the debacle that was the Chiefs' first half of the year. And we talked about this window that they have and the window of the Tyreek, Kelsey, Mahomes on a cheap contract. And I remember when Mahomes won his Super Bowl, everybody was like, he's going to win 7 Super Bowls and be the next Tom Brady. And I'm sitting there going, do we forget that it took Tom Brady a decade in between his first 3 and his second 3? Like, this is not easy. And this window of having these insane weapons on a super cheap contract is not going to be a long thing. I didn't think it was going to happen this quickly. And part of this might be them hedging their bets because the draft capital they got is significant. And when you have a contract like Patrick Mahomes, you have to surround him with cheap talent. And so the wide receiver class is obviously deep. It's one of the positions where you either hit and you get a super young wide receiver that's a cheap contract for 5 years, or you miss. There's been a lot of misses in the NFL. I think of the Bears with Kevin White and some of those other, some of those first-round picks that have – you look at some of the later round picks that turn out to be studs and the first-round guys that miss. So it's a hedge of bets, I think, with Kansas City. In regards to Miami, they went all in this offseason. I think there's no question that this is a make-or-break year for Tua. Year 3 in the NFL. We've learned with these young quarterbacks, if you're not all pro by year 3, you're pretty much cast aside. Whether or not I agree with that is a different question. But, they go out and sign Chase Edmonds out of the backfield, Raheem Mostert out of the backfield. You add Tyreek. They went 9-8 last year. They were right there in the playoff hunt. And so it's a win the division type of thing now. And we're going to figure out what kind of quarterback Tua is. Just like we're going to have to figure out what kind of quarterback Pat Mahomes is. I saw Fester put in the chat there, Brady always won his titles without Tyreek. And I think I put this in a tweet a couple days ago when we saw the news break. We're going to figure out how good Patrick Mahomes is over the next 5 years. Is he a Brady-like level champion? Can he go will his team into a Super Bowl? Or is their play going to suffer because he's asking to be paid $50 million a year? Those are questions we're just going to have to wait to see to be answered.
Right. And I think, who was it? Guns had said something yesterday. Guns ended up having an auction yesterday, and he was going on and on, because he's a big Raider fan, and there was a lot of Chiefs fans in the auction, so they were just kind of smacking at each other. But it's going to be really interesting to see these receivers, kind of like Nate said, like the Harmons of the world, and now MVS coming over there, and MVS like Guns, Guns kind of had a good point in a way. he had said something, if Aaron Rodgers couldn't make MVS a superstar, do you really think Patrick Mahomes can? I mean, he never really broke out, right? He was there a couple years. He was kind of always their number 2 or number 3 receiver, depending upon what season it was or who was in or who was out. He had some great things. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I played him in DFS a couple of times on a low punt play and said, he's going to hit that 80 bomb TD, and ended up getting lucky with it. And it happens. But then there's those times where he just drops the ball. So his hands are still in question. I don't think that's still something that we've really found out yet with MVS, but we're going to find out. I think we're going to find out this season, because he's going to have those opportunities. And, okay, so let me ask you guys this. Let's stick on KC a little bit. Let's take a few more minutes and talk about KC. Where does Travis Kelce, how does this help? Does this help Travis Kelce, or does this make things worse for him? Does he have a better season? Is his season still going to be the same? Is he going to have a big degress just because Hill's not there, taking away some of that? What do you guys think? What happens with Mr. Kelce? Is he still in that top 3, top 5 tight end in the league, stats-wise, when we're talking the end of the season? Where do you guys feel Kelce stands within the tight ends in the NFL?
I guess I'll go with one. I think he still will be like a top 3 tight end. It is that, like, he's definitely got more attention paid to him this year, because Tyreek Hill, he garnered so much attention on the field because obviously he could take a 5-yard slant, a 5-yard drag, and take it to the house, or he could burn you 70 yards deep. So he commands so much attention that opened up Kelce underneath. So obviously out there, defense is probably going more like they probably had like a linebacker and a safety over top on Kelce at all times, unless Miko Hardman breaks out, or unless like Juju has starts out fast. But besides that, like, you're gonna see a lot of teams early on in games double, maybe even triple Kelce and force the other weapons to beat him. So I think Kelce's numbers is going to dip, but he's still going to put up elite numbers. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing would be, I think his overall production will be down. But I think if their offense is actually going to change, like I think Ball's kind of mentioned it might have to, it's going to be more methodic drives. I think he gets used in the red zone way more than he may have recently. These 50, 60-yard touchdowns that we've been accustomed to with Hill and Hardman and some of those guys, maybe it's not that's not the type of offense that they have explosive-wise. Maybe it's a lot more red zone trips, and that you're going to see those type of things where they're going to have to use Travis Kelce more. So I could see him having a career year touchdown-wise, and maybe not the volume that he has recently.
Yeah.
See, and that's what I would say. Probably early season, he may see the volume because of his familiarity with Mahomes. But once Mahomes starts to figure these receivers out, because I still put Kansas City, I feel like they're still going to draft a receiver. So if they get a Chris Olave or somebody like that, then does he build that, chemistry with him as the year goes on, where he doesn't look. I think to begin the year, he's going to look for Kelce right away, and go that way. So, I mean, I'm kind of down on him now too as well.
Right. Okay. So let's look at this a little bit, and let's just kind of say, so the AFC, there's a lot of talk. The AFC is stacked, and it really is. It truly is stacked with everything that's happened this offseason so far. But isn't that kind of an advantage for these Colts, these Titans, these Bengals, maybe Browns, Steelers, these Bills, these Patriots? I mean, this division, these guys got to play each other twice in the season, right? All these guys got to play each other twice. So as the likes of Burrow, Josh Allen, Mac Jones, right? Some of these guys, are they just over there just chomping at the bit, just going, man, I'm loving this. Like, keep it high and competitive in that division. These guys got to play each other, and they got to play each other twice a season. I mean, how much of an impact is this going to play in some of these other AFC teams that we feel should be towards the top.
I don't think it benefits them a lot because they like pretty much every division is competitive. Like you look at AFC East, you got
The
Bills,
West, I think, is
Dolphins,
just different this
Patriots.
year.
The West, you got obviously Russell Wilson with the Broncos. You got the Raiders making moves. They got the Chargers. They added Khalil Mack. They added J.C. Jackson. Raiders added Devontae Adams and a few other pieces. And then obviously the Chiefs made some smaller moves. They got some draft capital. And then And then in the AFC North, we got the Ravens gonna be healthy this year. They made moves. Bengals made moves. Steelers are still good. And then the Browns, obviously, they got Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, QB, whatever, how that's gonna be. So I'm like, pretty much every division outside maybe like the AFC South is like very competitive. So it's gonna be a dogfight in that AFC pretty much the whole year. So you probably gonna see like a lot of good teams be up with each other. So you probably see like a lot of like 10-7, 9-8 in the AFC. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it benefits them, but it will make everything tighter. So it's gonna be like a lot of matchups are gonna be pretty important. I think next year.
All right. So with the addition to Devontae Adams to the Raiders, getting back with his boy Carr, where do these Raiders stand? Where do you guys see the Raiders standing at the end of the season? Fourth in the AFC?
Yep.
Balls, Nate?
We talking about standing in the division or
just overall AFC? Yeah, where are they going to
I'm going fourth in the division. I think
you're going to tell them they're going to be at the bottom of the division, huh?
Ooh.
Wow, Brady.
Shots
fired.
Okay.
Good thing Guns isn't in here.
I don't see. Okay, are they better than the Rams? I don't think so. Are they better than the?
You said Raiders, right?
Yeah, Raiders. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking Chargers. You're talking AFC West.
You're right.
I was going to
Chargers,
say
Chiefs, Broncos.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then you could do it division wise and then AFC overall if you want. So throw two numbers at me. Throw within their own division and then in just in the AFC in general. Where do you think they're going to stand? End of season before playoffs.
That's interesting because we just don't know how the Broncos are going to be with Russell Wilson.
Well, we don't know any of that. This is the beauty of it. This is the question. This is just our pre.
Okay. So they're gonna finish third in the AFC West, and they're gonna have the 7th seed in the playoffs. There you go.
Okay, I like that.
So you got 3 AFC West teams making the playoffs then.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, there's a shot 4 could if they don't beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, but
that's what I'm thinking is gonna happen. That's why that was back to my original question on the whole, like, Josh Allen, the Bills, the Burrows looking in on this. You know, these guys all going to just split up their wins and losses within their division games.
I mean, in essence, if they all go around 3-3, 4-2, maybe one goes 2-4, there's a lot of, I don't know who they match up with division wise because the NFL always pairs divisions.
Yeah,
I'd have to look in. There's a chance they could beat the crap out of the other division they play, and you could have all 4 teams. Now, all 4 teams might not have the playoffs, but all 4 teams could have a winning record.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
So, of course. I mean, I still don't. Okay, so I'll take the Chiefs over the Raiders. I'll take the Chargers over the Raiders, and the Raiders Broncos in the division. I mean, a toss-up. I trust Russell Wilson more than I trust Derek Carr, but even then, Russell didn't impress me in Seattle the past 2 years, so. That one's more of a toss-up than anything.
Okay. Balls?
Man, I don't trust the Chiefs. I don't. You know what? I hate to do it because I know he'd bag on my team, but I might put him at 1 right now. Just because I feel like Josh McDaniel is getting overlooked because he failed so hard the first time. But that guy sat underneath Belichick. Now, is he going to be maybe like how all the other Belichick disciples try and copy him? Probably not. I don't think so. I think he's going to be able to reach Derek Carr in a way that Derek Carr, hasn't really been coached, even with Gruden. So why not? I'll take him 1 right now. I don't trust the Chiefs. The Chargers, I feel like is a lot on their coaching. Their coaching cost them some games this year at times. So how does Staley come back from that? They did add Khalil Mack. They've added some pieces to that defense. I don't know. I don't see it with them. I feel like they're that team that splits with people. And Denver, who'd they hire for a coach? Somebody's got to remind me.
Oh, geez.
Oh, they hired that Green Bay, Nathaniel Hackett. Is that it?
Yep.
I mean, are we going to find out that Nathaniel Hackett was the guru, or was it all along Aaron Rodgers that made Nathaniel Hackett look pretty smart? I'm going to bet that it was probably Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur more than it was Nathaniel Hackett. They have Russ, and they've got weapons. Denver does.
Oh, they got.
I don't know. I feel like that Oakland team last year, Vegas team, they brought it together, and I think they've got some pieces. And having a true number 1 in an offense, Devontae Adams is going to be a difference maker on that team. Now, can they put more pieces around it? Let's see. But I'm kind of higher on Vegas than I would have been in years previous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, Adams going there just changes everything. I mean,
I want to throw
regardless of what we want to say. Yeah,
I want to throw out the NFL win totals for betting wise. They have Denver at 10, Chiefs at 11, Chargers at 10, Raiders at 8. There's projections in Vegas.
That's easy. Raiders over, Chiefs under, and I probably
go under.
Here is where I think a big difference maker will be in Denver, depending upon Denver's fate and how well they end up in the season. And it's a name, and it's a guy that's going to be carrying probably a ton with the ball on the ground, and that's Mr. Javonte Williams. I think this dude is either they're a winning up at the top towards the top team because this guy's having a hell of a season and his line's helping him out and whatever, and Russ is getting cooking with his throwing, but it's opening up because of Javonte Williams, or they're towards the bottom because they can't get it going with him. But I feel like I said it. I've been saying this for a long time now since he's been in the league. I've been saying I think this is one of the most talented running backs in the NFL. I'm not a Denver Broncos fan, never have been, but I tell you what, that kid is special, and I think we're going to continue to see it from him. So I think that determines a lot of where the Broncos land, depending upon what kind of performance we get out of him throughout the season and where that lands. Now, what about Von Miller to the Bills? Bills already strong, no question. What does that do for Buffalo?
Well, they just need Von Miller to be like Von Miller was in the Super Bowl. They don't need him to be a multi-sack, double-digit sack guy during the season. They need him to show up when they're trying to put a game away. As much credit as Aaron Donald got in that game, Von Miller was on another level in that game as well. And that's all they need him to do is come in and get to the quarterback in the playoffs. So they gave him, they talk about the big money and everything. Buffalo has to do this. This is their window now. It's the same because they're going to have key guys on that defense, key guys right now in that offense. Diggs is seeing all this money be thrown around at these receivers that he's going to want a payday at some point.
He might end up in Dallas playing with his brother, like the little tweet that Josh Allen says he ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the right move. It's one of those moves. It's the same thing the Rams did last year, thinking here's our chance to go get a guy that can help us win the Super Bowl long term, and that's what they're going to get a full season out of him.
All right. Is there anything else we're missing? Because if not, I got one more question for you guys before we move on, and I think we're going to roll on into the MLB next. We're going to save March Madness for the end, for the final, because we'll talk Final Four, who we think's in the final, who's going to win it. But is there anything else we're missing in the NFL before we ask one more question, or before I bring up one more question?
No, I don't think so.
Or like key pickups, like in the last week, 2 weeks, anything that really sticks out? I know I got my guy Brady on the back end there, scrambling through the computer, seeing if
there's stuff like Matt Ryan got traded.
Right. Well, yeah, but that was right.
I mean, there's nothing. I think we hit on the big ones really right now.
Yep.
All right. So here's the question, and it's up on the screen right now. Sports Cards 24/7. Who is going to be the number one pick in the NFL draft?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with Aiden Hutchinson.
Hutchinson,
nice. They Jaguars pair up him and Josh Allen on that defensive line, and they're gonna try to get to the quarterback.
I like that.
I agree.
Who else?
I think the Jags tagging their left tackle was a big sign. They talked about potentially still addressing that position in the draft, but I think Aiden Hutchinson is probably the best prospect out there right now. I know a lot of people have talked about the draft not having that 100% guaranteed number one, but right. I think he's an athletic freak, and if you look at his combine numbers, it just jumps off the board. And I would not be surprised if he's a guy that you talk about being a double-digit sack guy here within a year or two of him being in the NFL.
All right, Balls.
Yeah, Brady hit it on the head too. I think when you look at the way the Jags have constructed their roster, I always look at 4 key positions: your tackle, your quarterback, your cornerbacks, and your defensive ends or your pass rushers. They're not going to take a cornerback number 1 overall. There's not a guy like that. And you've got to go with somebody getting after the quarterback. So, yeah, it's Hutchinson in my mind right now.
Okay. I mean, I would think that's probably where I tend to lean as well. So it's kind of crazy that we're all kind of rolling in here. And I think a lot of the mocks have that kind of set the same. Makes the most sense. It'll be interesting to see how the quarterback class out of this year's draft pans out and where these guys end up as well. But we'll talk about that on a later date. Let's move on. I'm going to bring up one piece of MLB news that just came across the board here. Actually, it revolves around my Twins, but it just popped up. Chris Archer just signed with the Twins, pitcher. So
is that a major league deal?
Yeah. Yep. So that just happened. They used to pitch. I think the last team he was on was the Rays, I believe. Tampa Bay.
Pirates. He was on the Pirates.
Pirates, but he was on Tampa Bay before the Pirates.
I'm a little.
You know, me and my pitchers. I don't follow pitchers. When I hit pitchers in breaks, I just cringe. I just it's a pitcher. It's a pitcher.
I'm a little surprised in that, to be honest, just because Minnesota, I feel like, is going to be competing pretty well this year, and Archer's numbers were brutal. It's almost like a guy who needs to go get some innings, and I think
I kind of had that same take too. I'll be honest with you.
Like, it makes more sense for him to go to
something there.
Yeah, it makes sense for him to go to a team that's like, hey, they're gonna, they're rebuilding, they got innings they need filled, and for him to rebuild some value.
I think maybe they're looking at him as like the last guy through the rotations, like to just get him through, like another body to throw there. And hey, if he comes out, if he wins a couple here or there, all right, we'll be all right with it. But I agree. I was kind of a little shocked myself, but it is what it is. It's where we're at. That's where it stands. So, talk to me. What were some other big acquisitions, trades, pickups in the MLB?
Well, this is not a big move in regards to actual value or impact on the 2022 season, but I thought it was very, very cool to see Albert Pujols tell everybody this is my last year and I'm going back to the Cardinals. I hate the Cardinals as a Cubs fan, but I think it's a cool thing for Albert to kind of go where his career started. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame with the Cardinals, hat on. And it'll be awesome to see him kind of chase 700 homers back in Busch Stadium, St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome too. I mean, I think that's how it should be. He should end his career there. I mean,
yep. And the DH came at the perfect time for him because there's no spot on that roster if there's not a DH in the NL. So
nice. All right. Who else? What else we got for pickups? Anything crazy that sticks out?
Correa. I think that was one that fell since.
Oh yeah, my Twins, Correa. They want to get Correa.
Yeah. It's basically a 1 or 2 or a 3 year deal. He pretty much
yeah.
Which is, I mean, if I'm the Twins, if this is the window to compete, that's a great deal for them.
Yeah,
because I think he has got the ability to go out there and help this team win immediately. And if you put out a good ball club and you guys are competing, I don't see any reason for him not to come back. But
what I think is fun too is like listening to him, like when they're interviewing him and him being so in tune in his importance of player development with the youngsters around him. He talks a lot about Royce Lewis. He talks about how he sees the young Correa in him, and how there's a lot of things that he's teaching him that he wished he would have known when he was at that age in the majors, in his position, etc. So that's what you always love to see too with any player. I mean, on any team. Guy that's a leader, guy that's a superstar, guy that's had success, that wants to be a mentor, and teach others, the youngsters in the game. And, I mean, it's important. And how cool if you're someone like Royce Lewis, right? Like, hey, I got Carlos Correa teaching me and giving me all his little secrets and whatnot that he may have never come across, never got, so pretty cool, pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see, on the whole Twins side. I brought this up a couple weeks ago or a month ago when I was upset we got rid of Garver. I was like, why did we get rid of our power bat at catcher? Makes no sense to me. And then everything just kind of started piecing together. Now, Sanchez is a whole different thing, which I think we talked about already before, but we'll see. Maybe a change of scenery for him is going to be good. Not a big market, not all the New York pressure. Maybe he'll bring it back to when he was first up in the league and he was considered a decent player. But we'll find out. What other pickups? Anything?
Freddie Freeman to the Dodgers. That was a
couple weeks ago. But yep. Yeah, I mean that's huge.
Chris Bryant to the Rockies.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Hang on. Let's go back to Freddie Freeman for 1 second, though. So there was something that came up about. Apparently, he's been kind of throwing some shade now at the Braves, and I think some things are coming out that are making a little more sense of why maybe that that whole thing went the way it went, and he just ended up in LA. But apparently, he was hurt, and they were wanting him to play or something. It's one of the newest things I saw that he's actually been saying himself. You have to dive into it and dig into it a little bit, but it's just something I kind of came across. So, some more interesting things with some of these players out here that maybe shouldn't be playing, that teams are wanting them to play, and how it can change and turn things to go south within the relationship with the organization of players. So,
Brady,
you said,
did I miss it, Brady? Did we talk about Anthony Rizzo? How do you feel about that?
I'm fine with it. I mean, I actually kind of like him going back to New York. I'd rather him do this kind of split career thing than just bouncing around from team to team to team. I put out a tweet after the Chris Bryant signing and the Anthony Rizzo signing, and obviously Javi went to the Tigers beforehand. There was a lot of talk about why didn't any of these guys get signed? Like, we had the core of the championship and nobody re-signed. And part of that, it seems like they didn't have a great relationship with the organization, but part of them was they thought their market was way higher than it was. And you look around and KB got a big deal from the Rockies, but still was probably similar or a little less than what he would have been offered from the Cubs. Rizzo took $30 million less than the Cubs. Obviously, more years attached, but overall value, you're still going to take $70 million over $32 million. And Baez didn't get anywhere near after his MVP season. So I'm not sad. It's a new era of Cubs baseball, but I'm glad Rizzo's back in New York. Short porch, they're going to, he'll be fine there.
All right. So, and then we got Chris Bryant, obviously, to Colorado, like you said. Yeah. We got who else? Who am I missing? Trevor Story went to Boston.
Yeah,
he's a Red Sox. It'll be interesting to see how much Josh Donaldson actually plays this season. I mean, I know it's a spring training, but what's
Cubs
that?
Signed Seiya Suzuki from overseas, Japan.
Yep.
Another Ohtani or what?
Nah, he doesn't pitch. But no, he's got a good bat, but we will see.
Yeah.
Obviously, MLB pitching is a completely different animal. He was exposed a little bit in like the World Baseball Classic and some of the international stuff, but
okay,
sure.
So.
Cool. Any other highlights, MLB? And I guess the one thing I just want to add to throw out there in the hobby side too. I mean, it's fun. Hey, a guy with the name of Mickey Moniak that we've been seeing prospect cards for years now. So it's a home run. And, you start seeing cards posted everywhere about him. I got this for sale. $1 million. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, just be careful. Like, honestly, it's fine. Prospecting, collecting prospects is a fun thing if you want to get into it. You dive into it, take some chances, take some risks. But when you do that, try to do it on the low scale or on the low end before they start doing anything. Because if you wait till when they start to do it, it's just like we always talk about it. The price just starts going through the roof. Everybody starts the want for them starts to be there, and just don't get bought into it because again, it's spring training. It's not the regular season. There's a lot that's going to change.
I will say, if you are doing the prospecting, please, if you're going to move stuff, move it when they get called up. The guys could be the next coming of Mike Trout, and if he doesn't do that in the first week, the prices will go back down, and you'll be able to buy again. So if you're doing some of the prospecting, what I do, I have cards that I love. I've identified 2 or 3 that I'm going to hold long term, and then when the guy comes up, I sell to make most of my money back, and then I'm in at 10% of what I bought, and I have all these cards in at 10%. So it's just one of those things that be smart, follow the trends, do some research, but yes, don't just follow the hype because a bunch of people are in on a guy. Do a little research, find a guy that you like, and get in on him early.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. All right. We got anything else for MLB? Anyone want to add, or otherwise we're going to run into the NBA. We'll roll over to the NBA. We good? Balls, you with us? You good? All right. So first thing I want to touch on is Eastern Conference. Who would have thunk right now that the Boston Celtics would be sitting with the 1 seed? Who would have thunked?
Yeah.
I mean, I brought this up. I think I brought this up. I did a quick little live video showing a couple mail days. What was it, yesterday? Saturday or yesterday? I don't remember what day it was. I can't keep my days together anymore. But anyway, and I touched on how in the beginning of the season for my season-long, my keeper league, NBA Big Boy season-long league, it wasn't a keeper option, but I had the 6th pick, and I could have either taken Curry or Tatum, and I chose Tatum. And I got a lot of grief for it early on in the season. Like, you're crazy. What are you doing? Well, I thought the dude was supposed to do what he did, like, right out the gates. Like, that was what I was thinking, is he was going to do what he's been doing like lately, like right out the gates. And then I started looking at the numbers because me and my son were talking about it on Friday because Tatum's like one of my son's favorite players. And even he was telling me I was crazy to take Tatum over Curry sitting there at 6, like when I drafted. But I mean, Tatum's got ESPN scoring. He's got like almost over 400 more points than Curry does. And he had a slow start, very slow start. So just imagine. But man, are these Celtics going to be? Are they going to be a Are they going to be a tough one to knock off in the East? The Bulls got it in the playoff time.
Not without Lonzo. I don't like it.
When's is Lonzo supposed to be back? When's he supposed to be back? Is he going to be back this season?
He was supposed to be, and then they had
No?
a 10-day delay because his knee wasn't responding well to rehab. So now he's going to be right up close to the first round, and he might not even get any regular season games in. So we'll see.
Wow.
But hey, they're falling off quick, so they still might be in a playing game. So we'll see.
Isn't that crazy how quick things can change? I mean,
it's 15 games. That's what it's been. Their entire season they played great, and these last 15 games just have been rough.
How quick things change, man. It's just insane.
Yep.
Insane. So who else do we feel in the East is gonna be the competing teams against like someone like Boston?
I guess you gotta say Milwaukee. When Milwaukee's healthy, you got Drew Holiday. He's a good two-way guard. Because Milton give you buckets. Obviously, Giannis is a former MVP, reigning MVP. So, and then they got Brook Lopez come back, so they're working him back. So he's a good three-point shooter, defensive big as well. Obviously, you got Sixers with Embiid. You got Harden.
Yes.
Tyrese Maxey's been playing crazy, lights out. Tobias Harris starting to find his way, so add them as well. So,
what about you mentioned Brook Lopez. I know that's an interesting take. That's a good segue into what we can talk about here for a second. And I want to get you guys' opinions on this. So Lopez comes back, right? He's been out for a while. Bobby Portis is playing the best basketball of his career right now.
Yeah.
Right? He was starting in place of Brook Lopez. Bobby Portis says it's Lopez's, he's his starting job. I'm going back to the bench. Is that the right move as a organization with Portis playing the ball that he's playing, or should they be like, no, we're going to keep Portis starting and maybe draw Lopez in as off the bench? I mean, Portis is playing the best ball of his career, like hands down. It's not even close. I mean, he played great in the playoffs last year too. This has been kind of an ongoing continuation thing since playoffs last season. Was that the right move? What do you guys think for Milwaukee?
Probably just matchup. I would just say it's matchup based specifically. There's gonna be nights where you're gonna need Portis' shooting and athleticism. I mean, it depends on if do they draw Embiid in the first round, or they draw somebody like the Bulls in the first round. It's just kind of up in the air.
Yeah, what do you think about Nate Sixers, man? What do you think? Do you think they can do it in the East?
I mean, shoot, we definitely got the talent to. The only thing that really scares me is that like our bench doesn't really come up at all. Because whenever like obviously when if you're like Embiid or Harden goes to bench, and then like you got a guy like Shake Milton and Danny Green and some of the guys come in, like you don't know what you're gonna get. Like there's some games where they come out and they get you buckets and play defense, and there's some games they just shoot cold, the offense is stagnant. So that's the only thing that really kind of scares me, is that like our bench is kind of hot and cold. And then obviously got down to Jordan for some reason why we're playing him. I don't know why, because he's pretty much a shell of himself. He's just not that athletic. He doesn't have that bounce that he used to. So that's the only thing that really scares me. But it's pretty much as long as we don't play like the Nets in the first round or like the Celtics in the first round, then I'll be pretty much more confident going to playoffs. But
well, that's one more team that was brought up that's sitting and playing right now, the Nets.
Yep.
I mean, they're just going to kind of sit down there towards the bottom, and then it's going to be like boom. Now, I got to tell you, I saw a lot of who were they playing? They're playing Dallas, I think, was it earlier during the week? Was that like Thursday night, Wednesday night, or Thursday night? I want to say it was. And they were down like by 10, 12, 15, like throughout the game. Like, and then all of a sudden they came back. They came back, and it was like a game again. And you're seeing all these tweets about, man, who's going to beat Kyrie and KD come playoffs? Who's going to beat them, right? And then KD goes like 0 for 5 and then turns the ball over. And then next thing you know, this game that was in their hands to win, the superstar actually just blows it for him. Like flat out, like just goes cold. Like missed 5 shots in a row and then just turns the ball over. Just like, he's like what did I just do? Like, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting in the East to see how this all plays out, especially come playoff time.
Well, that's one of the interesting things about this play-in thing now, right?
Right.
In a 7-game series or a 5-game series, you're probably correct. I think I would bet on KD and Kyrie, unless they're facing a 1 seed or something like that.
Right.
Which they might have to if they're. But with this play-in game, all they have to do is beat some of those other teams in the play-in. All they have to do is be better on one night. They don't have to be better over a 5-game series. It's one game. All you have to do is have a cold shooting night, or somebody gets hot on one of the other teams and drops 40. Just something like that. And that happens all the time in the NBA. So that's why you see the NBA has a lot better in regards to like the better team wins a lot of the time over a long series. But that's one of these things that this new format kind of brings out is in a 1-game thing. It's just whoever's better that night. And I would not feel good being Brooklyn in that spot.
Right. So check this out. Checking Joker. Do you know what he's doing tonight?
Yeah. I saw. He got triple double.
Yep, 17 points, 11 assists, 15 rebounds. He just another day. He just messed around and got a triple double. Just another one. Just another one. He's probably got Ice Cube courtside too. So crazy. All right, Western Conference. Anyone going to beat the Suns?
Shoot. I mean, looking right now, I don't think so. Too. So the Suns are deep. They got Devin Booker's been giving people buckets the whole time. Chris Paul's come back. He's dishing out double-digit assists.
Speaking of, Chris Paul was supposed to be out 6 to 8 weeks. He came back in 4 weeks. You think that guy wants to go win a title this year?
Yeah.
I mean, he's hungry.
Shoot. His window of great plays come to a close pretty soon. So,
true.
Balls is waiting for the hockey talk. He's being very quiet. He's waiting for NHL.
but actually, a team I want to talk about is the Memphis Grizzlies. They've been on a tear. Even without Morant, I think they got I think I saw it was like 18-2 record without Morant or something. It was like some crazy record without John Morant. Like
Desmond Bane is a beast. He looks like a freaking linebacker, and he just pops threes all day. You can't play.
Desmond Bane, D'Anthony Melton had a big game. I think like a couple nights ago. Like they got like Jaren Jackson Jr., Steve Adams been playing solid for them. So yeah, they got
Dylan Brooks made some news recently too. We won't get into it.
Jones, former Duke player. So they're pretty deep. So they're gonna be a pretty good team in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah, they did lose or the Celtics did lose Robert Williams, which is pretty big, pretty huge. Dude's a freaking shot blocker. Dude's insane. So it'll be interesting for the Celtics to see where that lands them or what happens with that. I do want to bring up one thing too. I got a shout out to my Wolves and shout out to Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards. He has 6 most points in NBA history before turning 21. The dude just keeps on keeping on. And he's not even been playing great lately. Like there's been a lot of games where he's been barely double-digit scoring and just flat. Coach Finch has said, dude, he's got to get to the rim more. He's just got to dunk and do simpler things. He's just trying to take more shots, just get inside and do what he needs to do. All right, anything else to the NBA? Good?
I actually have 2 things.
Roll it, baby. I've been waiting for you to say something, damn it. I was about to fire you.
What's your guys' thoughts on Zion? They're saying he can't play yet, but then he posts this video of him doing this ridiculous dunk.
Yeah, but he's not playing or anything. Like it's just, the dude doesn't have to jump that high to dunk, right? Like,
do you think he could play though? Are we gonna see him? Here's
the thing. Here's the thing. every time that when I'm breaking now, and every time I pull a Zion card, do you know what I say?
Greg Oden.
Greg Odom. Yum. Yep. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. You guys, you got to go back and let's talk about Zion for a minute, because it's a good topic and it's a good thing to talk about. And we can all kind of voice our opinions and where we see it and where we stand with things. But we got to remember that when this guy was drafted, the organization that drafted him made it very clear that they were teaching him how to run, jog differently, teaching him how to walk differently. We're talking about an athletic freak of nature that they're teaching how to walk differently and jog differently. Like, there's a lot of weirdness to all this. I mean, right there alone just didn't sit right with me, going, what? Why? What's the deal? And quite honestly, ever since he blew out that shoe in college, things just haven't been the same for him. Let's be honest. Remember when he blew out the shoe, the Jordan or whatever, the Nike? And everybody was like, but since then, nothing's been the same for him. What's your guys' opinions?
I don't think he plays another game in New Orleans. That's my guess.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you, Brady. I think he's done there.
I think they'll salvage whatever little value they have. A lot of the rumors are saying New York or something like that.
Where he thought he was going to go, or where a lot of people thought he was going to go because of the lottery thing that totally went a different direction.
Yeah, and I am majorly concerned. We'll bring some hobby back into this. It's very interesting because when that all came out, it was always Zion or Ja, and everyone's like, "Oh, Zion, 100%, he's a freak." And some of the thing that you can't predict in the hobby, right, is just the player's ability to stay on the court.
Yeah,
well, there was a little bit of concern there for Zion to begin with, right? Such a big body, how is he going to handle the NBA? Some of the physicality. So
I don't know how many times we talked about this. Like, a guy that has that much body mass, right? That's running up and down a court constantly. There's not a lot of, there is stop and go in the game. Like, there is a lot of slow pace, but there's a lot of just back and forth. And the constant, like jumping up and coming down, and like the landing on the ligaments and the feet and everything else with the body weight and the mass. And as you develop more muscle and as you build more stuff around you, that's just like players in the NFL and everywhere else. The ACL tears and all these tears is because their ligaments get weaker. The amount of more mass and everything else they're carrying, right? So those bigger guys that's why you see a lot of these guys that are like not super beefed up or super built. They're just the agility, and they don't you don't see them getting hurt as often. I'm not saying it's like a science that, guys, whatever, but you don't see it as much. A lot of those guys just have more endurance and have more just body physical strength and the freak of nature and whatnot. And I think that plays a different role on how it wears on the body and how these guys can stay in or continue to play or not play. That's my opinion. Sticking to it.
Then the other thing is, I've heard a lot of criticism lately about LeBron just chasing the scoring points title, the all-time points in the league. What are your guys' thoughts on that right now? The Lakers are what? What do you guys think of it?
Since AD's been out of the picture, they're not a contender. And it's obvious. You obviously see that. He's not going to do it. He's not going to be able to do it himself, especially at his age. Like, there's no way. But I think his ultimate goal, and I think I respect it, is I think he ultimately wants to play. He wants to at least play till Bronny. He wants to play Bronny's in the league. Like, that's one of his goals. He wants to play in the NBA when his son hits the court. And he's not that far away. So I don't know, you know.
Is
the time of
Brady-
LeBron being a contender is over. At this point, he's the type of his career where he's going to be on Sports Center for all the records that he's breaking, and I think he's okay with that.
Right.
I don't think any team LeBron James is on competes for a title again in his career. So right now he's to the stat padding, he's to the playing with his son nostalgia, he's to the legacy building, which is fine. But it's this mindset that the media and people need to get around is this isn't LeBron James, the competitor chasing championships anymore. It's what's my legacy going to be? And that's
but then when you say that, then he's posterizing somebody and putting up 50 points and doing something crazy.
Right. That's fine. His game can be that way, but his need to be the roster creator and the head of every move, it's been his own detriment. And
one of their biggest mistakes in LA was bringing on Westbrook.
Right. And guess who clamored for that 100%? LeBron James.
Yep.
So he's his own worst enemy in shortening his window of championships. And I just don't know. And guess what? You gave up all this
need to win any more championships, though.
No, he does if he wants to try to be in the conversation with Jordan. I don't think 3 even puts him close. Personally.
Again, it all depends on who you talk to and who you debate with. And again, people are always going to bring up, and I think even some of the guys that have played in the actual league even bring this up when this question is brought up. And it's something I usually always look at is you're looking at 2 completely different players in 2 completely different eras. You can't really compare them.
That being said, MJ, moving on.
Of course. But reality is you can't compare them. A guard and a forward, guys that didn't play in any time really in the same era, which we all talk about are 2 completely different eras. Everybody talks about how they're 2 completely different eras. But then when the conversation comes up, it's like, oh, we got to compare these guys. I think it's kind of funny. All right. Anything else in the NBA?
Nope.
No.
All right. Some people like a NASCAR in this realm, and if you guys paid any attention to what happened the last lap or the caution yesterday, it was pretty freaking amazing. It was actually pretty exciting to watch, to be honest with you. I had it on to see the last couple laps because, I had some DFS lineups in, and I was sitting pretty all right until some spin outs and stuff happened on that caution. But, man, talk about Chastain and freaking AJ Allman, whatever his name is, and whoever else was in the mix, like back and forth. One dude shoved the other dude. This is on one of those Grand Prix tracks. So, like, these guys aren't – it's not that every left turn. It's left, right turns around loops. They got to slow down. They can't get up to super speeds. They're sliding and spinning. I mean, these guys are just pushing each other. Allmendinger had what I think was in first. He tried to take Ross out or slide him over and basically did. And then Ross got back in somehow and basically slid him out to take it over and to win the race. I mean, again, if you were watching it, it was a pretty fun ending to see. So
yeah, it was
just a little take on that. Nothing big. We don't have a lot to talk about because I know most of you guys don't really get into it or watch it. So let's get into March Madness here, the final stage of the show. So we got a Final Four, and let's give some shout outs to some of those teams that went through the tournament that you want to shout out, man. How about those Peacocks, number 1, right? To be the first 15 seed to make the Elite 8. I mean, pretty freaking amazing. The amount of the teams that they wiped out, that they took down to never make or ever have an appearance in the tournament, to now finally put their school on the map. I mean, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty amazing. It's like the Gonzagas. Remember Gonzaga? Remember when Gonzaga was a first-time tournament team?
Yep.
And now they're one of those teams where kids want to go there, right? Kids want to play ball. Like, that's what started that whole thing. Like, and how it can be such a difference maker and changer for these colleges. So, I mean, it's very important for a lot of these teams to, to be successful or to make a run and to win on National Peacock Day. How freaking awesome is that, huh? That's cool, man. It's weird, but we got a Final Four here. We got Nova and Kansas, so we got Duke and NC. Coach K's final season could be possibly his final game, right? Never played UNC, right? In this, like, some would say hashtag rigged, maybe. If you're a conspiracy guy, you might think that. You might say that. I don't know. Who do you guys got? Between Villanova, let's start with Villanova and Kansas. Who do you got in this game? Who's going to win to advance to the championship game? Villanova or Kansas?
It pays me as say, Villanova's pretty much like a Philly area school. I probably gotta go Kansas here, especially with that torn Achilles to I forgot his name, like Justin. I forgot his name, but he was like a pretty important player on the team. He tore his Achilles like late in that the game. So I think between that and I just think Kansas is the better team. So give me Jayhawks.
All right, Balls.
Yeah, I'd probably go Kansas. One of my buddies is a big fan. His dad's a big fan too, so I've been kind of cheering for him. They've looked probably – I know Villanova's looked really good. I think they've looked the best out of all the teams remaining consistently. So I'll probably roll with Kansas. I think, I know we're probably going to pick winners, but I would say, at least in this game, I would take them for sure.
All right, Brady?
Yeah, I would do Kansas. Losing Justin Moore was a big loss for Villanova, just depth-wise, the guard position. They're also really undersized. What the crud is that?
All right, Tedster's in here, so keep talking. He's a big Solak fan. Nick Solak?
So just they're really undersized. I think the biggest guy they really play is like 6'9". Kansas isn't huge, but I just think I think Kansas is a very well-rounded team. They're a 1 seed for a reason, so I'll go with Kansas.
And I'm going to take Kansas as well. I just again, I think Nate I think first touched on it. The loss of one of their guys. It's terrible to see. It sucks to see. You get this far, and to have something like that happen, just devastating, man. But I'm going to roll with Kansas as well. So let's roll over to the Duke NC side. This one, I think, to me, I don't think is as cut and dry, but I'm gonna leave it up to you guys, and you guys tell me where you stand on this one.
Duke 100%, without a doubt.
Really?
Yes, and it's Coach K's final year. North Carolina already ruined.
You're going with the rigged. You're going with the rigged thing. Okay.
No, not rigged. Maybe a little rigged. North Carolina already rigged. They already ruined his last home game in Cameron Indoor. Remember, they went in and upset Duke at the last home game of the year. I think you have an inspired Duke team, and I don't think they lose. I think Coach K gets to compete for a national championship in his last season, and we'll see where it goes from there.
All right. Balls? We'll go Balls, Nate, me.
I'm thinking Duke, honestly. Early in the season, they had their struggles at times. And a lot of the guys have really turned it around on that team and are playing better ball right now. I know North Carolina's really come on late too. I just think given a one-game situation, I think I'm going to ride with Duke. They've been the better team all year, in my opinion. Even though North Carolina beat them, pretty convincingly, I think the pomp and circumstance of it being at Duke kind of might have made it overshadowed the game. Maybe players weren't as focused as they should have been. this being a Final Four, it's hard to say that won't do the same type of thing. But I think it's completely different when it's, your seniors playing their last home game there, the crowd being all Duke fans. I think that might have, thrown things off a little bit. So I just think Duke in a one game, I'm going to take Duke, unfortunately.
Nate?
Well, first I'm gonna say, actually, I think this was actually rigged. I ain't gonna lie, I think so. I mean, shoot, you got Duke, you got North Carolina in the Final Four, meeting up for the first time. Coach K last season. I'm sorry, it's too much going on with that. But in all seriousness, I'm taking Duke as well. Honestly, I feel like this game is gonna be back and forth pretty much the whole game. Don't be surprised if you see a couple scuffles in there. I think both teams kind of know what's at stake. Obviously, Duke trying to play for Coach K. North Carolina is trying to end Coach K before he has a chance to make in a championship game. So I'm gonna take Duke, but I feel probably like a 1-point game. Maybe a buzzer beater, actually, to be honest, to win this game.
Vegas has got them by 4 right now. That's where the line's at 4 right now.
Really?
So, yeah. So I just want to start off by saying, first of all, I apologize. You guys are all fired for taking Duke. And I'm going to take I'm going with UNC, baby. North Carolina. Let's go. Let's rock. Let's roll. All right. So here you go. So you three have Duke playing Kansas, and I have Kansas playing UNC. So, final championship game. Who wins it? Just say it's Duke and Kansas right now, since the majority of the panel is with Duke. So say it's Duke and Kansas. Is Coach K just walk off with it right on to the roof? Or does Kansas beat them?
Shoot, I'm gonna go with Duke. Coach K gonna ride to the sunset on the perfect ending.
And is he gonna have like a little banner on the horse on the side that's hashtag rigged?
Yeah, it's gonna be hashtag rig, hashtag Coach K. But I'm gonna say Duke is gonna win it.
Everybody,
Hollywood, man, it's gonna be not Coach K winning, but losing. They're gonna flip the script. I got Kansas. They're gonna make it. It's gonna be this big storybook run that he makes, and they're gonna fall short.
They're gonna play that Eminem song. Say goodbye to Hollywood. Yeah. I got Kansas. I got Kansas winning it all anyway. I had them winning it all, like in my bracket thing. So I'm gonna stick with Kansas winning it all. So Brady,
mute.
You're muted.
I'm gonna go with Duke, and I'm even gonna make a prediction. Paolo Banchero, their best player, top 5 NBA prospect, is gonna go off for 25 and hit the game winner. That's my guess.
So hey, Brady and Nate are fired. I'm barely hanging on.
Yeah. I'm going to need you to show up next week then. Right on. We got anything else? Oh, hey. Yeah. So any other hobby talk? I know we started the night, or the start of the night when we went through the Playmakers. I kind of brought up Drake as a playmaker, just hobby talk. Really, that's what it was about. Kind of to get some hobby talk going. You guys have any other hobby talk or anything we want to dive into? I'm going to pull up the couple of questions that we had from last week, the couple questions we had, so we can make sure we go through those. If anybody else has any questions or anything in the chat, if anybody's still with us, I don't know if you are or not, but anybody got anything to bring up?
I don't know if you guys touched on it, but did you guys see that Chris Carlin from Upper Deck is leaving after being with Upper Deck for like 25 years? Kind of crazy. He's a big piece. Yeah. So I think he's going to Fanatics, if I'm correct.
Yeah, he got some other, it's within the hobby. You got some other position, but yeah, it's pretty crazy that he is leaving.
Well, and I think Upper Deck's one of the few they haven't yet been bought out by Fanatics. So
No, they're exclusive, and it'll be interesting to see how that
that's
all
why
plays.
that jump makes me wonder, not that he's leaving for that reason, but does Upper Deck eventually make that move?
Yeah, I mean, so is everything just gonna all be on one? Like, and then what ends up happening is, like, we just don't, I don't think it. In my own opinion, I don't think that's personally good for the hobby. But we have to take things as they come and as they go. I guess, just like with everything in life, But would I be a fan of, like, all these companies being owned by Fanatics and being like, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good for the hobby. I think it's always been good to have our upper decks and have our tops and have our paninis. I don't think it's a good, in my own personal opinion, I don't think it's good for the hobby to have one company just end up owning all the different card companies.
I don't think exclusivity is good for the hobby because
No.
I mean, there's got to be some level of competitiveness to promote these companies and, have these companies profit from good ideas and good marketing and good, whatever. There's so
Right.
much that can be done when you have exclusive rights. When you know that there's only one place for these people to go buy the product. If you do something terrible for the hobby and it hurts the hobby, okay, who cares? Everybody's still going to buy our product, and it's not going to hurt our bottom line anywhere near as if they could say, hey, I don't like what Topps is doing. I'm going to go buy some upper deck, or I'm going to go buy Panini, or, like, it's just
Right.
It just makes it so that there's nothing holding these companies back from terrible decisions. There's no way to hurt them. There's no way for their bottom line to hurt, really. There's just one company to go to for everything, whether you like what they're doing or not. It's really your only option.
I agree. Nate, anything to touch on, or are we good on that?
No, that'll be good.
Okay. You guys got anything else? Anything else you want to touch on? Or we didn't really, all the comments from last week, to be honest with you, were just like, sorry, missed the live. This was Shot Racing, been fighting COVID. Great stream like always. Lots of great topics and opinions. Keep up the great work, brothers. Tom T, was fun hanging out with the boys. Weber, another awesome podcast. Keep up the great work. And then Pops Tim saying, welcome back. And that was it. And that was the comments. So, again, guys, I encourage you all watching this now, watching this later when this does upload, please leave a comment, topic, question, something for us so we can touch on the next episode. And again, I do apologize. I don't think it's helping with our inconsistencies. But it's just everybody's got a lot going on right now, and it's just trying to make it work. And, we had even talked about trying to maybe change a day, but if we change a day, then it might not work for other people. And we're doing what we can here. And to see us tonight is, I would say, a victory and a surprise, because I didn't even, up till about 6 o'clock, I think, 5:45, 6 o'clock, I didn't even know if we were going to be doing the show tonight. We were all scrambling. So they were down, but I was trying to get things wrapped up. And Balls, it was awesome having you join, not knowing, and I know that's awesome. Like we always say, just pop in when you can or when you want to. If you can't stick around the whole time, we understand, we know. But it's always awesome to have you join the show with us as well. And Nate and Brady, as always, appreciate all your guys' efforts, all your opinions as well, all you bring to the show. And yeah, I guess that's about it, guys. Let's have another solid week. Everybody enjoy themselves, be safe, have fun, help a neighbor, maybe try to put a smile on someone else's face, lift somebody up if you can, and be the good. Keep it real. Till next time, guys. Love you. Peace.